Let me take a sip of tea because we're about to get into the tea. No hate shall prosper in this space.
Unless it's ethical hate.
Ethical hate is totally fine.
Hey, y'all. Welcome to
A Flow of Our Own.
I'm Tara.
I'm Laura. We're your new favorite besties. Tune into this.
Thank you for coming back. We are two black femmes who talk about pretty much everything.
Everything, anything under the sun, arts, culture, politics, vibes, being queer black femmes in this world and navigating all the isms. We're here to keep you up to date, but also to share and sprinkle our little sauce onto what's going on in the world.
All right. Now, it's been a minute since...
It's been so long.
We've done this. What's been going on with you?
But first of all, should we talk about Tara, like ushering in the spring? Have you been feeling the fall spring vibes? It's been so nice.
It's been love. I mean, it's still cold.
It's cold as heck.
It's not warm.
It's cold as all
It's just sunny.
It is sunny, but you're looking so beautiful.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
That's what's going on.
Thank
I'm
you.
feeling the hair and everything.
Thank you. The hair is mostly, was tired of messing with my actual hair. So I was like, let me get this braided up.
Totally. It makes sense. You did a little protective rest style.
Yes.
Protecting the hair, protecting your peace.
Yes, exactly. Because, child, I don't know what would happen if I woke up and
I know.
had to do my hair. So, yeah, what you been up to?
I have been, teaching my students at NYU, being a parent to baby Baldwin, a wife to Ariella. We just went to West Africa, where I was born, Cabo Verde, for a huge family trip, and that was incredible. It was so healing. It was my grandma's 90th birthday. We also did a program at the museum to celebrate a trans icon who recently passed away. So it was just so wonderful to be in community with family, all the vibes. It was incredible.
Nice.
Thanks for asking.
You're welcome.
What about you? What's new in your life besides your fabulous fit?
My fabulous fit. I mean, after we recorded last time, I got sick, so I was sick for a minute. And then I've been working. I'm hoping, when we get to May, it'll finally be chill, a little bit more chill.
A little winter grind.
Winter, spring grind, yes. Yeah. So that's what I'm in right now. So hopefully by May, things will kind of chill a little bit.
Before we started recording, we were fantasizing about the beach this summer.
We are.
Yeah.
I got to figure out what swimsuits I'm making.
I know. I live for your swimsuits every summer. It's going to be lit.
For those who don't know, I sew. And so every summer, for the past few summers, I've made my own swimsuits. So I got to start figuring out what makes the most sense for what I want to wear.
And if you would join me in convincing Tara to develop some kind of commission-based sewing, I don't know, side hustle. Because those of us who would love to have her fashions are being deprived. Because we want you to share your skills with the world.
I mean, no.
It's not. You see what I have to deal with? That's all right. Gatekeep if you want to.
Gatekeep, girl boss.
Just kidding. Well, let's get into it. We have some segments for you today. Tara's going to give us the rundown, what we're going to be talking about. But there's a whole lot.
There's a lot going on
in the world.
There's a lot going on.
Too much going on.
Right. I felt like every time we were I was like, I got to make the script for the recording. I was like, okay, so everything keeps changing. How am I going to actually do this?
It's like the script you made last week is almost irrelevant today.
Right. I had to be no, that's not going to work.
And then by the time y'all get this, there's going to be 20 million other things.
Right. So,
First of all, are y'all okay? Are we okay? Is everybody okay?
No. No. It's also the 5th anniversary of the NYC lockdown getting announced.
That's right.
So, that's
oh my gosh, that's a whirlwind too to think about. That was half a decade ago.
Right.
Wow. Time flies.
Yeah.
I recently saw this meme by, the person Dude with the sign on Instagram. There's Dudette with the sign, like a femme person doing it.
Yeah.
And she had a sign that said, "We all deserve an Oscar for pretending that everything is okay." And the Oscars recently happened, but we're not going to get into that today.
No.
But yes, we are all acting all day. Everything is fine at the grocery store, at work, while our government is collapsing, while we're experiencing climate crisis, while there's just so much. So,
personal things happening.
Personal things,
both,
stress. The price of eggs.
Child, the price of eggs. I don't know if I've ever thought I was going to talk about the price of eggs so much in my entire life.
I've also been trying to convince Tara to, have chicken in the backyard because she has a lovely backyard.
It's lovely because I don't have chickens in it.
I don't think we would actually be allowed to do that with bird flu.
I do not think,
but
I feel like all my neighbors would be like, what is happening?
They'd be like, all the Karens would be like,
right.
What, ma'am?
What is happening?
What are you doing?
Why you got these birds in the backyard?
No.
What is going on?
Yeah, but we would be rich though if you did it. I'm throwing myself in there. We
got a co-op chicken coop.
Yeah, exactly. The hood egg hookup spot.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway.
Okay.
Let's get into it.
All right. So we actually have an audience question for the question of the day.
Oh, the question of the day.
So this is from Shelby. I actually know Shelby, so shout out to Shelby.
Hi, Shelby.
Shelby is part of a small community in my hometown, St. Louis, and organizing locally feels more manageable, right? So Shelby's question was, how do we organize in a gigantic city like New York City?
Ooh, that's such a good question. So organizing is a wild thing because I think a lot of people are developing the language right now about what it means to organize. Maybe it's not something that everyone talked about even 5-10 years ago, unless you were deeply doing it. But now it's become like sort of a normal term in everyone's vernacular. And that just demonstrates how much organizing is needed right now because of the government collapse. And it's kind of this idea that we can't depend on the government, to meet our needs because they historically haven't. And then maybe some communities who were protected by the government are not feeling that they are now. So they're seeking for that community support that they're not getting through the government. So organizing essentially is the ability to come together with people to seek some sort of change. Right. You may have seen people organizing for unionizing efforts. This is something that has gone on historically for a long time. You may see people organizing for to help support people with food, right? Doing like food pantries. You may see people organizing to get winter coats for people. You may see people organizing for asylum seekers who are moving to a new place and they need supports to enter into the community, or for people who were previously incarcerated and coming back home and they need those supports to re-enter into society. You could be organizing for so many different things. Right. So I think the first thing is to understand that it's challenging to organize on a global level, but it's necessary. So that's why folks always say, start local, right? So that means not just jumping in and saying, hey, I have a new idea, I'm going to reinvent the wheel, but saying like, hey, what has been going on in my community, the people directly around me, my community members, what have they been doing? And who are the experts in this area and how can I get involved? Doesn't mean you're going to align with everybody. Do your research, find out, talk to people, because this is often not publicized. It's often on the ground, right? So talk to people, talk to your neighbors, figure out who's doing what to improve some issue that you would like to be a part of. So there is a place for you. It just might take some research and showing up, and also knowing if you have the capacity. I wouldn't enter into organizing if you don't feel that you have the capacity. That would be sort of my insight. Yeah. What about you?
I agree with a lot of what you're saying. I think right now what a lot of folks are trying to figure out is the base building part, and also how to make winnable campaigns, right? I think sometimes people's idea is to go straight to the big things, like, okay, we're going to like abolish the police, right? We're going to go big. And it's like, and that's understandable, and that desire for that, and you're going to get burnt out really quick if you're going for something so huge where like you're missing all the steps in between, right? And so I do think for the folks that I know who do a lot of organizing, both in New York City and globally, it is really creating campaigns that feel winnable, because that's how you build your base, right? That's how you get people to get involved with the work. They're like, okay, this feels like something we can do. And so we can do, we can keep going in that way and then keep building from there. And to know that in whatever campaign you're doing, I mean, like New York City campaigns are still local campaigns, right? And I agree that coalition building is a huge part of that work. And so it really is like, what does it mean to be in community? How are you supporting other folks? Sometimes, with the coalition, you're working on one project, but they may be doing something else that you can also support. And so what does that look like? So, yes, New York City is huge, but yes, there are ways to still work locally and still work in a way that is community based, and make sure that you're building winnable campaigns that folks feel connected to.
Yeah, exactly. Like you can start small. Like for example, in my community, There have been people organizing just to get the park that we finally have, right? People organize for that. That is hyper local. Or to get a mural up, or to get free 3K in this neighborhood, which, you know, Adams has challenged some of the seats. But I mean, that's also something that can speak to your community, but then the city at large, right? So yeah, you can definitely start local, but then it can have kind of more of like a city impact or a national impact or a global impact. But start small, know your bandwidth, and really show up if you can. But again, it could be just like you're saying, like the way that you communicate with people around you can be you educating yourself so you're prepared to enter these spaces, right? There's lots of ways to show up for this moment right now.
Yeah. Thank you, Shelby.
Thank you, Shelby. Great question. So, Tara, what's the next segment?
Child, let me unlock my phone again.
Unlock the phone.
Oh my gosh. All right. So this is called Pop It.
Pop It!
Pop It is where we talking about all the pop culture things going down. We talking about especially things that we appreciate and love.
So many things that inspire us.
So many things.
You know, we gotta have balance. It can't all be serious,
It can't all be serious.
You know, there's gotta be joy in the revolution, right?
Yes, for sure. So first, let's start with Black music at the Grammys.
Oh my gosh. I get so excited by these segments, right? And it is bringing a lot of joy.
Yes.
You know, that's one thing I also noticed about this time, like sort of like transitioning, organizing to pop culture. A lot of people are like feeling like there's a lack of mobilization going around right now. Like what we maybe saw in Trump's first administration, we're not necessarily seeing right now. And I've even heard somebody say like, where are all the BLM organizers? Like, what are all these people like, where is everybody? Come out. What I've actually been seeing a lot of in terms of the Black communities, yes, organizing, but also a lot of joy. Yeah. Like I've been seeing like Black people being like, listen, I've been giving so much of my time to organizing. I actually am going to center like my happiness right now. I've been seeing Black people dancing on the internet. Just like a center around radical joy. So I feel like the Grammys kind of brought some of that too.
I do want to say also like the folks I know who are organizing, they're really doing stuff to like really support people. You know, like let's make survivor funds. Let's make sure that like people got what they need in order to get to a place of joy, right? I was talking to my therapist yesterday about Maslow's hierarchy. So like if people got that base of like they feel safe, they got food, they got, you know, they can keep building.
They'll have the energy to show up. They'll have the energy to show up. It won't be like a fake capacity. And then the organizing will be stronger for everyone if everyone's sustained. So I think that the theme for organizing right now is survival. Like let's survive this kind of apocalyptic reality. And some people might think that's like overzealous, like it's not that far, but we are experiencing fascism. We are experiencing the fall of the democracy that is the U.S. or the illusion of the democracy. It's empire, right? And so survival is what we need to do right now so we can get to the next world, so we can rebuild from the ashes. So going back to talking about Black music at the Grammys. Enjoy. It was really a celebration of Black culture, don't you think? But I don't like. Well, I found. I didn't watch the show because I never watch award shows. But that's so funny that you find everything after. I mean, like, you get the hot takes. I'm like, what happened? Okay, cool. But they were saying that. They were saying that they added a bunch of like younger folks and women and folks of color to the voting pool, and I think that shifted how certain categories went. That may not have happened if they hadn't been like, oh, we need to actually like diversify this voting pool. It can't just be one demographic. Right. Like that just doesn't even make sense. Right. So Beyonce, congratulations! Finally won Best Album of the Year and Best Country Deal and Best Country Album, which like I don't think she was expecting Best Country Album because she made that face like. Yeah. Wait, hold on. Ready? 1, 2, 3. And Blue Ivy had to be like, girl, get up. Like, come on. She's so graceful. Isn't Blue Ivy so graceful? Yes. She was like, okay, you gotta go up on stage. Go. I just want to say for the record, though, not that, you know, Beyonce needs any approval. She's clearly one of the most decorated, successful, talented artists of all time. Some people are putting her up there with like the Michael Jacksons or whatever. But I feel like this is such vindication for being completely excluded from country music television, which we're not going to rehash because that happened in episode 1 or 2. Yeah. Go back and watch it. But I feel like this is like vindication that she not only finally won Album of the Year, which doesn't even make sense mathematically that she hasn't before for having the most amount of Grammys, but it's really amazing that it's specifically for country music that she's been excluded from, despite being a country person.
Yeah.
So I just think this is so wonderful, and I think it's also like a celebration of like Black culture, because country music originated from Black folks. So it was just I was happy to see it.
And like I said before, like, this is not my favorite Beyonce album, but I do feel like artistically it's her most thorough album.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like it felt like also like this is the album that made sense for her to win. Like I feel like it was very thorough. I feel like it really like showed who she is as an artist overall.
The songwriting was incredible. The amount of people that she brought on.
She collaborated with folks.
Even like there's like Dolly Parton. There's like
Willie Nelson.
Yeah, it's just like ridiculous the amount of collabs.
Yeah. So I felt like
the Blackbird song. Gives me chills every time.
So I felt like this was the album that like it made, like some people were kind of being like, oh, like she should have won for this album or that album. Which like sure you can argue that for sure. But I felt like this one really showcased her artistry. Yeah.
Wonderful. Congratulations, Beyonce. Yeah. Wait, so who else impressed you at the Grammys?
Doechii. You know, I love Doechii. So, but she's the third woman to win for Best Rap Album. So
it was Lauryn Hill,
Cardi.
Oh, Cardi, that's right. Good job, Cardi.
And Doechii. And then Doechii. Cardi presented the award to Doechii.
That's so beautiful. So when Cardi went up, people already suspected.
Yeah.
Because they were like, why would you bring Cardi who just won this award last up? Of course, you know?
Yes.
That foreshadowing was beautiful.
Right. So it was like great. And then Kendrick won 5 awards for Not Like Us. Like they just kept giving him the Grammy. And
like
Drake
it was
already,
like Easter candy.
Right. And Drake already been mad at the Grammys. And so I feel like
Drake has got to be so embarrassed.
I would be. I'm just saying. If you have actual awareness and shame, sure. Yeah. I don't know if he might not. He might not have that. He might be like, oh, well, like everybody against me, da 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 da. And it's like, well,
you know what?
Child, they played the phrase in the show when it was like A minor.
Yeah. Oh my God, that is like the knockout line, and it's so clever.
So here, people at the Grammys saying A minor to a song that's like dissing you is wild.
I also feel it was kind of like the industry being like, you know what? We hear Kendrick. That's actually inappropriate. We have receipts from many young people who were too young to even realize this was happening, and have definitely called him out on this behavior. And here we have the whole industry kind of deciding this is inappropriate because everyone keeps replaying that line. Well, we hope that they do, because we know there's still some predators in the industry. But you know,
everywhere.
But what's interesting is that song. Usually you have like a song that's like the summer song, and it was definitely the summer song last year with this Sabrina Carpenter's Espresso. Those were incredible. But I feel like that song has not gone away.
It has not.
If anything, now, because of the Super Bowl and Grammys, now everyone's like, din, din, din.
So like, it's become like the thing. Like, and then, you know, then the transition to talk about the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Right. Which like some people didn't like the performance, blah, blah, blah. But like the fact that snippet is now like a trending snippet.
On Instagram and TikTok.
Yeah, it's just wild. Like you seeing people in Korea do it. And I'm like...
And like everybody from like Skip Gates, like academics.
I saw some priests do it. I was like, what the priests doing? They was putting I was like, what is happening up here?
I think we should do it.
We'll talk about it. I have to be like the sourpuss. So
Tara doesn't like trends. I get it.
Yeah,
I get it.
I'd be like, I don't want to. I'd be like, no. And then sometimes I get convinced to do it. But did you watch did you watch the Super Bowl performance?
I definitely watched it. I have like mixed feelings about it because I don't think it was like the most exciting performance ever, but I think that has to do more with like personal interest and what people like. Yeah. But if you go through it, I'm just like a sucker for historical context. I'm a sucker for like the love is in the details, for innuendos, for specific references and context. So clearly you have to have a certain level of understanding of Black history to watch that performance and get it. And I don't think any art is really successful if it isn't referencing something, because the artist's responsibility is to reflect the times. Right. So I think that we're going to be watching that performance throughout times, looking back at this particular moment and saying like, oh wow, look at this person who entered this kind of like white franchise using Black bodies as commodities and completely critiqued the nation in this moment through this performance. Like the use of black bodies to make the American flag,
Right.
the reference of like, you know, the colors of red, white, and blue in the same way that Beyonce does to reclaim like blackness is also American. Like, I just think there were so many references that were really thoughtful and beautiful. And I also can't get over the fact that Kendrick was wearing the bell bottoms that I wore in junior high school. They were so cute.
But here's the thing, they were designer bell bottoms. They were Celine.
But they were specifically bell bottoms.
They were bell bottoms. He likes a little bell bottom moment.
I know, but it kind of looked cool though with the sneakers.
It did.
He was like skipping
But it was
along.
like somebody who's very much secure in himself being like, I'm gonna do this.
Yeah,
and what y'all
I'm
gonna
gonna do
say?
this.
And what y'all gonna say?
What are you gonna say? And then everybody wants to wear them now.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you know, I like Kendrick, so I enjoyed the performance.
Yeah, there's no way you weren't gonna like that.
I mean, unless he did something I was like, child, what is this? But I understand that for some people it was like, oh, this is not the Super Bowl type performance I'm used to seeing.
I think there's some people just like the fanfare and like the extraness, but like, you know what? It was fine. Like Serena Williams came out.
Yeah.
He like recreated like city scenes with having people like
Yeah.
by the lights, posts, you know, that, you know, when you're hanging out growing up, when we didn't have cell phones and you were growing up sitting in the street corner and you had to go home when the lights turned on and like just having the guys hang out and normalizing blackness on the screen.
I mean, Samuel L. Jackson was in it and
That's
that was
true. That was wonderful.
Yeah, so
I feel like for the first time I was like, you know, I haven't been celebrating July 4th for a long time. But, you know, of course, as you develop, you like unlearn things and you are like, oh, that's maybe toxic. That's not for me. Maybe I'll do Juneteenth. But then you still have nostalgia, right? Because you still grew up doing something. So it's like a bittersweet thing. But after seeing like Beyonce and Kendrick's like Americana, I'm like, oh, maybe I can celebrate July 4th again, but like do it in a very black way.
Child, black people just be like, it's a holiday, we grilling.
Exactly. It's like, it's a privilege to have that time off.
Yeah, you get the time off. We gonna put some on the grill and we gonna keep it moving.
Exactly.
Like,
so just to foreshadow and like warn you, we're gonna have like a very black July 4th this year.
Okay. I'm afraid.
Oh my gosh, don't be afraid.
It's interesting. So like on the flip side though of that, there were people who were also critical of the performance because they felt like it wasn't revolutionary enough, and they felt like, oh, he should have went out there and like really did something revolutionary. And
like what?
Child, I don't know, but there's this
like, do you remember Beyonce getting eaten alive for having the Black Panther fits?
Right. Well, there's a comedian. His name is Josh Johnson, and he did a I don't know what the comedian is called, a set. That's what they call it. He did a set and he was talking about the show, and he said something really good about the fact that he was like, one, everything you see on television has been approved by lawyers and producers.
That's true. Like at least 10 to 20 people.
So if you thinking that he gonna come out there and like do something quote unquote radical in a certain way,
he did it in his way.
He did it his way, right? But something Josh Johnson said that I really enjoyed, because it's something I feel like I've been saying in different ways throughout the years, which is that art can save a life, but entertainment will never be your salvation. Entertainment, by and large, is escapism, and no one ever escaped their chains by forgetting they are there. And so it's like, yes, this is art. I do see Kendrick's performance as art, but it's also entertainment. And that is not the revolution, right? Art can be revolutionary. There are artists who use their work in the revolutionary ways, or to speak to revolution, but that is not, like you said, that's not organizing. No. That's not making a change. And I think there's this place where even though people have been being like, oh, I want to divest from celebrity and da-da-da-da, there are people who are still desiring for celebrities to be organizers. And I'm like, that might not be their job. Right.
And by the way, Kendrick, like thinking about the spectrum of artists, I think is one of the more radical ones.
I mean, like, particularly in terms of like black male artists, sure, right? And he does local stuff in his community, right? But
it's still not organized.
Right.
And that's okay. That's your lane. That's your gift.
That's your lane. And I think what we were talking about earlier is like sometimes the folks who are making the art are giving joy to the folks who are organizing.
And that's so important. And that joy making.
And that is fine. Right? It doesn't have to be like, not everybody has to be like, I'm about to burn the American flag on the football field. By the way,
I have seen so many organizers using that song and that clip to like promote a message or to do something kind of like cheeky.
Right. So I think like I enjoy Kendrick's work. I think that artistically he's an amazing artist. I think that he plays with layers in different ways. He also works with great folks. I believe his choreographer is the same choreographer who did Beyonce's Christmas football.
Oh,
I think
well, that makes sense because like knowing the field.
Yeah. Also, Kendrick is Beyonce's work husband.
Yeah.
So
completely.
If you did not know this, like that is her work husband.
Yeah.
That's why you can tell like they do stuff like
very similar. They work with the same people,
right?
And they achieve a certain level of excellence.
Exactly. So
and they push each other.
Right. So at the end of the performance, he said, "Game over."
Yeah.
Hopefully this is the last beef situation we hear from Kendrick and Drake. I mean, Drake has a new album with Party Next Door, which I have not listened to. I probably won't listen to it.
I just feel like he needs to kind of like either take extreme accountability to come back or just like disappear for a little while.
He will do neither.
I know.
Because he was like, I'm coming out with an album with Party Next Door. And people was like...
Just like, why? You're like...
Could you not?
I feel like he does have some people who like him, but it's kind of like 10% to Kendrick's 90%.
I mean, I know people like him and I know people like his music and stuff, but I think like as a person, quote unquote, I mean, we don't know him. But like as a person we see online, I think people are kind of being like, we don't
mess with you. We don't really need you.
Right. Like just chill for a while.
And you know what? He has enough hits from the past. Like there are some Drake songs that will just always be bangers for me or connect with the time or they were a summer song. There's enough. Just like take a break.
Right.
And let us enjoy what you have already made.
Here's the thing. He needs to do like the girls. The girls be like, I'm taking a year off. I'm about to be traveling. I'm about to be with the family.
Rejuvenate.
Right. They rejuvenate.
Go and restore yourself.
Right. Yeah. That's what he needs to do.
Yeah, but instead he's doubling down. It's like, it's just he's watering down his own message.
Yeah.
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 Drake, give it a rest, love. Maybe he'll listen to this. Probably not.
Right. I was like, if Drake is
hold your breath.
Right. If Drake is following the,
I just want to say like one last thing about this because I know we need to like move on to different segments. Yeah. But one thing that was interesting that I just wanted to ask your opinion. So one of the things that Kendrick did in the performance was quote Gil Scott-Heron in a different way and say the revolution will be televised, which is I think why the critique of the revolution not happening here came up. But Gil Scott-Heron's original understanding of or intention, I should say, for that quote was actually the revolution will not be televised, not in that we won't get access, which is also true. Like you said, there's lots of permissions and you get fined if you do something inappropriate.
Right.
But what Gil Scott-Heron was saying is that the revolution will happen quietly, like through organizing on the streets, on the ground. Like it won't be televised because there won't be a necessity for cameras or capitalism. Like it operates in a different realm.
He was also talking about the revolution has to happen within yourself first.
Yeah.
You can't be like, I'm about to be in the streets, but
he
you have not
talked about
you
that.
Cannot,
it's you.
It's you. Like, how am I like doing policing within myself, within the...
How do I negotiate with people? How do I operate with people? How do I deal with conflict? How do I show up? How do I support? How am I the change? Right. Because if everyone's the change happens. Exactly. Right? But so I wonder, like, what do you think Kendrick meant by that flip of like it will be, or do you think he was like playing on it?
I think he was playing on. He's like, it will be televised, but you got the wrong guy. Like he I think he's something he's repeatedly been saying is like, I am not he's made it clear I'm not an organizer. Y'all should not see me as an organizer.
Don't put me on that type of
Don't put me like I'll make art that like helps people or like connects with them. But do not think that I am that guy. So I think he was like really just calling into attention, like y'all want me to be an organizer and I'm not that person. And so we're going to see change happen. I'm going to use this as a way to like talk about like, you know, hint at some of these things, but I'm not that person.
Yeah, totally.
And I think we just have to be like, child, if somebody is telling you and showing you that they're not an organizer, you cannot make them an organizer.
I know, we can dream.
We can dream. Yes.
Well, thanks, Kendrick. We appreciate you, boo-boo.
Thank you.
All right.
We got to talk about my favorite person before.
Who's your favorite person?
Doechii is my favorite person.
Oh, my gosh. Hold on. Just scratch. You cannot ever approach Tara if you don't have a level of respect for Doechii.
You gotta respect Doechii.
You got to. Okay. Yeah. Tell us from your perspective. Why is Doechii excellent?
Well, first, he's excellent because she's been working at it. So she's young. She's like 27, I think.
That is young. She comes across like 33.
Yeah, she's like 27. And so she's been like, for the past like, since she's like 17 to 18, really just working, trying to figure herself out. Good for her. Working on her music. So
didn't she like get fired and then recommit?
Right. She was like, I got fired, but I'm recommitting to doing this path that I'm on. And, you know, like the anxiety song that just came out.
Yeah.
This was actually something old she had done in her. She used to do these like what she called like swamp sessions, but she would like make a beat or have a beat and she would like freestyle on it or do something new on it. So this is someone who's been practicing their craft.
Yeah. And the swamp is a reference to Florida.
Yes, because she's from Tallahassee, if I'm not mistaken. And so I feel like for me, it's like you're seeing like some people are coming like, oh, she's an industry plant, which don't make no sense. But it's basically like you're seeing the culmination or the spark of someone who's been doing the work.
Yeah.
And like whether you like her music or not, that's your business, right? But to see somebody who's working that hard, who's also versatile. She sings, she dances, she raps. She's
giving fashion.
She's giving fashion.
Walk a runway.
We'll be talking about the fashion in a second. So for me, it's like, oh, this is a person, and she was in a independent film. I found out a while back. So I feel like that's to me what it is. It's like this is somebody who's really cares about their craft, and because they care about their craft, we're seeing that work play out.
Yeah. She's incredible. She's so talented. But what I think is really interesting is there's this like rise of like the pop queer princess right now.
Yes.
And I don't want to put Doechii in the pop realm because there's definitely like extreme rap artistry and lyricism happening. And that's a specific medium that we need to respect.
Right.
Not to say that pop isn't, but it's just like they're different realms. But I do feel like it's speaking to this time that's happening right now. It's no coincidence that you have Doechii, you have Chappell Roan, who also worked for like a million years, and like Pink Pony Club is a song that was written so long ago. And then you also have Charlie XCX, who like many people don't know has written for like everybody in the industry. Like know Charlie XCX song before the past couple of years through other artists. So these are all people who are emerging right now who have been paying their dues and showing up, and they're finally emerging in the industry. And I wonder how much that has to do with, as you mentioned, having more femmes, POC, entering the kind of gatekeeping roles, And once those kind of avenues are open, then these people who have always been here can suddenly emerge.
Right.
But I think it's such a beautiful thing. And the fact that they're like all like queer adjacent or queer supporting, it just shows how much and how queerness is intrinsic in these spaces and the creativity and the culture that comes from queerness. I just feel like really excited about music right now. I think it's a wonderful moment.
It is.
But Doechii is definitely like leading the charge.
Doechii's leading, and she was leading it in Paris. So
that's true.
So for those who don't know, Paris Fashion Week just ended not too long ago, and Doechii was in the scene. So I took some notes because I was like, okay.
Give us the rundown.
All right. So first, in the beginning of February, she kicked it off. She was performing at the Square show. She walked the runway. She performed with JT. People are like, oh, that's amazing, right? But she did not stop it there. She was at Valentino. She was at Tom Ford. She was at Schiaparelli.
Heavy hitters.
She also wore Schiaparelli first to the show, but also did a performance at the Louvre.
Oh my God, the museum?
Yes.
The Mona Lisa?
The Mona Lisa, right? Acne
She's
Studios.
giving Mona Lisa eyebrows right now.
She is. Louis Vuitton. She was at Chloe barefoot wearing a 32-inch braided wig. First of all, shout out to the braid technicians because y'all now have the wig game on lock. Shout out to y'all. She did a meet and greet on the streets of Paris to like shut it down. Like amazing. She just basically took over Fashion Week. And it reminded me.
She was the it girl.
She was the it girl. Her team had been really doing a lot of stuff. So, but I think it was what is her stylist name? Sam Wolf. They've been really like on it. But it reminded me of other Black women who've used fashion also to raise their profile, right? Like we know Lil' Kim was, she was always at this, like she loved Alexander McQueen. She was always at the runway shows like Versace.
Yeah, she even had like, I remember one of her iconic wigs that it pisses me off to no end that the Kardashians, like namely Kylie Jenner, tried to take credit for like colorful wigs.
Right.
When I'm like, have you seen Little Kim Chanel spray painted?
Yes, the Chanel logo spray painted on
like,
it. Come on now. But then like we look at folks like Zendaya and Laura Roach.
Yeah.
And she's like, Zendaya has expressly said like, I use fashion in order for people to get to see me more.
Absolutely.
So then they start to be like, oh, we need to like hire her, right?
And it's like, and it aligns with your particular style.
Exactly.
Like Jason Bolden is another heavy hitter. He's working with Cynthia Erivo right now, and like her fashion has been wild on this Wicked tour.
Or even like Rihanna back in the 2010s, where suddenly her image changed. She got that little pixie cut situation with the swoop.
Yep. Not the swoop.
You remember the swoop?
I remember the swoop.
You remember the swoop?
It was giving Candy Burris.
Right. But like all of a sudden, like people were looking at Rihanna differently because they was like, wait, like this woman's fashion is amazing.
Yeah. This person not only beautiful and talented, but she's the moment.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think what's interesting with Doechii was that she looked like, the thing with Doechii as an artist is that she's kind of a chameleon a little bit.
Yeah.
She creates her image. Like she did the Swamp Princess thing, and then she kind of did this prep look when she was doing this The Alligator Never Bites, which is her latest project. But then we saw at the show, she was like, each of the looks looked entirely different.
Yeah.
It was like this, and so I think
she was delivering. So like, it's a part of the artistry.
Yeah.
It's not only the music that I make, it's how I carry myself, how I present. That's a performance too.
And I think that's the me. I was like, oh, this is someone who's telling us that, like, I know how to be a performer, girl.
Yeah,
I'm
not letting this moment go. I'm showing up.
Exactly.
Same way, like Chapel Roan is like, I'm doing drag.
Yeah.
Like I'm doing whiteface.
Yeah.
But I'm not just doing it when I'm performing. You're gonna see her everywhere, with her drag makeup because she's giving homage to that community. Yeah. That's her vibe.
So shout out to Black women being fashionable.
Black women. We see you.
We see you.
Don't stop.
Don't stop.
Can't stop, won't stop.
Can't stop, won't stop. Speaking of Black women, your girl.
Oh my gosh, this Pop It segment is going to be like the whole podcast. I just have to say this. No hate against Meghan Markle Sussex. She'll prosper in our presence because we first and foremost celebrate Black women. Now listen, it doesn't mean that there isn't critique in regards to like the empire and joining that family to begin with.
Right.
You know, everybody makes mistakes, but you know, I do think that she's on her path, and I think she is breaking boundaries and creating a difference, like hence leaving the environment and raising awareness for suicide prevention, etc.
Right.
So Meghan Markle is a complicated character, and the reason we're going to bring up Meghan Markle Sussex is because she has the new series on Netflix where she's doing like a cooking with Love Meghan.
Yeah.
Not only, I mean, she is like blessing everyone right now because she has With Love Meghan. She also has As Ever, which is her business. That is, you can go to asever.com or join their mailing list, and she's going to be selling some of the things that she does with her own kids and the preserves or the jam, if you will, from her own garden, flour sprinkles instead of regular cake sprinkles, just like so many cute things, honey from her own personal garden.
You know you're going to be doing flour sprinkles, so.
I already made ice with flour sprinkles because we're having a dinner party for a friend today.
I was like, a lot about to put some flour sprinkles.
I made ice with flour sprinkles, and I was going to make the cake today, but we don't have the time, obviously. I have too much on my plate. However, I just want to say that Meghan Markle, and she also is coming out with a podcast that she just announced yesterday, which yesterday was March 13th.
Yeah.
So I just want to say that Meghan Markle is a person who can do it all. She can be an actor. She can be a lifestyle person. And remember, she's not just doing this for the show. She had a blog called The Tig before she even met Harry. So she's been doing this. This is not something new just to make money or just to kind of like get in the scene. Right. But we've been seeing the vitriol that people have against Meghan Markle.
Right. So like, for folks who don't know, when the show came out, suddenly there was this slew of articles, mostly written by white women.
I'm annoyed with like the cut. Like I'm disappointed in a lot of the
it's been a lot of
New York Mag.
Right. Like, well, this is unrelatable. And, you know, this idea of unrelatability, right? Which I think it's put a lot on Black women, this idea of like, this thing you're doing is unrelatable. But them trying to be like, she's too perfect, which does not make any sense to me.
They're saying essentially the critique is that Meghan Markle, who is a Black woman, but is also biracial, right? And like for some people, maybe doesn't like resonate as necessarily a Black woman or doesn't present like that way. But they're basically saying she's unrelatable, she's unlikable. And those are like really offensive things to say against somebody that you don't know.
Well, that's the thing, like when we talk about unrelatability or unlikability.
It's coded for like aggressive.
It's a coded thing. It's coded term. It's coded. Like a racialized gendered term. To be like, this person is not someone that I see really, truly as a human being. And it's like, you don't, it's a matter of worth. They don't think that she both deserves to be in the role that she's in and that she's not worth having a TV show, worth their time or worth watching. Like, why? Interrogate that. I actually want to throw this back to the people who hate Meghan Markle. Why do you think someone like that doesn't deserve? Especially considering that there's like
thousands of cooking shows that use the exact same format.
Right. People being like, oh, well, she didn't cook in her kitchen. I'm like, well, girl, would you?
Who uses that? Like, who doesn't use a set? Martha Stewart uses a set. Everybody who does a cooking show uses a set because for many reasons. One, for safety, because you don't want people to have the blueprint to your house when you're a celebrity.
Right.
Second of all, privacy, intimacy, right? And also for shooting reasons, you might need wider space to get the range and to get the counter. So there's a ton of reasons she's not shooting in her own home, especially given the fact that she has been literally, her life has been threatened by the paparazzi. She's been in lawsuits to protect her safety. Of course, someone like that is not going to shoot in their home when they have 2 children. That makes no sense. But back to the unlikable and unrelatable comment. I mean, let's get very clear. This is like mostly critiques coming from white women, and I'm just going to call it. I think it's jealousy. Let's be real.
It is.
How many people do we know are successful, beautiful, have Le Creuset? How many celebrities have cooking shows who never get this level of articles and write-ups? I just feel so disappointed that spaces like The Cut would even write articles to take down a black woman, given how much hate. They just basically join the British media bandwagon. That's like such low-hanging fruit, and frankly, beneath them, in my opinion, to join. So you know the people writing are haters themselves. But if we go into the narrative historically, I think this is a greater issue of specific type of white women, not all white women, right? Who cannot handle a black woman who is successful, beautiful, rich, and frankly has more to them, or more than them. I think honestly they're sitting home and feeling jealousy of like, why don't I have that?
Well, they're also like seeing this life, like she married a prince. Yeah. Right.
What do you expect? She's going to have Le Creuset. Well, and honestly, I have Le Creuset. I'm not rich.
No, but that's not what I'm saying. I think like they look at her life and they're like, how did this woman, this person who like, I don't necessarily see as valuable or I don't necessarily see as like the quote unquote princess type, whatever the hell that means. Yeah. And it's like, this person has like this fairy tale, even if it's not a fairy tale life, right?
They have an ideal privilege.
They have an ideal, and they're like, how dare this person have that?
And I don't. I think it also speaks to, like, back to the historic comment. Historically, black women have been relegated to the sidelines of labor, right? And have been positioned in these particular roles to sort of serve white women, let's be honest, to be like nannies, chefs, cleaners, caretakers. And I think that some people can't get beyond that historic role, and that we're starting to see an emergence in the past few decades of black women as bosses, as leaders, as CEOs, as wealthy people, as princesses. And I just think a lot of people haven't made that transition in their mind and are still kind of upset about the privilege they think they deserve, and they're bitter that they don't have it.
Right. Or you could be the best friend, but you don't get to be the star.
You don't get to be the star, and you're going to get killed off in the movie first, right? But we all know this. Like, let's be real. And I just think that Meghan Markle challenges all of that. And we've seen other people challenge that, but it might be like a celebrity who's a musician or an athlete. So I think that women can resolve in their mind, well, oh, they got it because they're an exception, because they have a special talent.
Right, exactly.
But Meghan Markle is, an average person. Yes, she was an actor, but she's an average person who married a prince. And I think they can't handle seeing a black woman in a successful role. They can't see a black woman having more than them, because there's absolutely no reason to hate this person. Now, conversely, some people have an issue with, like, her vibe is cold, or that she was critical, or that she complained about what she experienced in the empire. And I'm like, okay, so this also speaks to another issue, that black women aren't allowed to have feelings.
But also, like, there's this thing of, like, people call black women cold. And I'm like, what does that actually mean?
What does that actually mean? It's this, you expect something. Yeah. Like, we don't have to perform.
Right. And that's the thing. You want somebody to like shuck and jive for you.
Yeah, exactly.
And this person is not shucking and jive for you.
She's not doing that.
And so you're like, oh, she's cold. And it's like, here's the thing. I'm be very honest. I'm like somewhat indifferent about Meghan, because
I think the reality is most people are just like whatever.
Yeah, I'm like, whatever.
Not everybody's a super fan like me, but it doesn't mean she deserves.
Right. And I'm like, I don't understand what y'all talking about. Yeah. And nothing I've seen from her feels disingenuous. Yeah.
She's like a mom who wants to make memories with her kids and show what she does in her house and how she treats her friends and how she cares for people. And
so it's just strange to me to see the reaction, because I'm like, as someone who's like not in, I don't like, you always trying to get me to watch these particular shows. And
I love the Jamila show on HBO
What's it called?
Max. Homegrown Jamila show on HBO Max. She's like helping people like redo their gardens, and she's like a Caribbean garden queen. I love her.
Watch this. I'm always just like, this is not my thing. Like, I watched one episode and I was like, all right, thank you so much. I enjoy that this person is living their best life. It's not for me, right?
Yeah.
And I'm even like, as someone who's like not into that, I'm just like, I don't understand why y'all like, I know why, but like,
why could you be mad at somebody for just doing, like, at most you can just say like, okay, the show's nice, but it's not anything revolutionary.
Right.
But honestly, what cooking show is revolutionary?
There is no, it's like nobody out there is like
we're not honestly watching it for the recipes, though some people are. Honestly, I learned actually a lot from watching it, but I think most people are watching it because you want the comfort, want, and then a little bit of access to their life, especially a person who's been so guarded because of the media and has like taken a back seat for some time. It's nice to see her like stepping out and sharing like who are her friends, what does she do with her friends, like what does she prepare for them. Like, I just think that it's a nice offering, and she's being intimate and showing her life. Right. And you don't have to like her, you don't have to think she's interesting, or you can be indifferent. But I just don't think that it makes sense to like actively critique a Black woman, and her privilege doesn't absolve her from racism. Right.
I'm gonna do you a favor.
Oh, what?
I'm gonna actually watch the show.
Yes! Oh my god! It's like my birthday again. Because no, you don't understand. I can never talk about shows with Tara because she only sees the memes, and I'm like, no, but this
but
one
then I can still talk about it.
Nope. I'm like, this one part where this person said this, you don't know it.
But I can still but I can still be like, yeah.
Thank you for giving Megan Sussex a chance.
I will give her a chance.
I just also want to say like some other good things about the show. Like, let's not just focus on the hate. The show is great because she has her own garden, and she actually shows you some of the things that she grows and how she can regenerate. So it's kind of like money saving and cost effective. Now, I know it's not realistic for everyone to have a garden, but a lot of the things she's growing, like you can grow on a windowsill, or you can have a little pot, or you can have like jars in your kitchen with some of the things that can just be like rooted in water. That's one thing. Second, she shows how you can bring in natural, healthy foods into your lifestyle in a way that's kind of enjoyable and beautiful. And this idea of eating with your eyes. So it kind of like tricks you into wanting to have more healthy foods in your life. Right. She also does a lot of like when you're hosting people, like little tips and tricks for what you can leave with them to just let them know that you're thinking about them from like the morning to the night and their stay, and just making them feel a little bit more comfortable. She gives like eco-friendly ideas for kids' birthday party bags. And also she has this lemon olive oil cake that I'm just like dying to make, because Mars gave us some olive oil from Palestine that we are like both like, oh, we don't want to use it because it's so special, but then we're like, we have to use it because it can go bad. And I'm like, what other beautiful thing to do than to make a cake with that'd be cute. And she like showed you how to like rib it in a way that the frosting in the center, so that when you cut into the cake, it has like this really beautiful pattern. I could keep going. I learned a lot from the show.
Yeah, I mean, this is also your bag.
I know.
This is your bag.
I know. I love it.
So
I love home. And like, if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't.
Yeah.
You know, it's fine.
I'm glad that you're having that experience.
Thanks, boo.
You're welcome. Yeah. So let's do some glimmers and simmers.
You do this every time. Damn. We're just gonna call it glimmers and shimmers. Shimmer me timber. How do you say that phrase? Because there's this one dating show.
It's shivers.
It's shiver me timber.
It shivers me timber. It's not shimmers. It's shivers. It's with a V. It's with a V. Okay, glimmers and simmers is what we're doing.
Glimmers and simmers.
So we're going to talk about the light, the things that bring us joy in our lives. Those are the glimmers. And then the simmers are things that maybe we're thinking about. We're like, simmering on a little bit.
Yeah.
So you want to start with your glimmers?
Oh my gosh. You know what? I'm trying to think like through what would be an exciting glimmer. Cause like we've talked about a lot of things. We talked about the joy of organizing. We talked about like the joy of like the pop queer princesses that are coming out right now. We've talked about spring coming up and how exciting, you know, it is to think about warm weather and being outside again. You know, New Yorkers love being outside.
We do.
But I think like my glimmer, I'm going to say for this week, is that my child Baldwin is, 2.5 years old and is like kind of talking. So like, kids start to learn how to talk about like really like between 1 to 3 years old is where it like fully develops.
Right.
And so Baldwin's 2.5, and a lot of the, sentences that most people couldn't understand that we would be translating like, oh, they just said this. It's kind of becoming clear, and Baldwin's speaking in full sentences, and it just grows exponentially, right? Like first they have a few words, then a couple, then a sentence, then a few like more words in the sentence. And now it's like full sentences and repeating after us and understanding sentence syntax more. So it's just really great to be able to like talk to my little homie that I've been like raising for over 2 years. And I've been like, you were a mashed potato, but now you're like talking back to me.
Potato.
Not a mashed potato. But you know, in the beginning, they're just like scrunchy. They smell so good. Little bean. Oh my God. But now they're like, and they're going to start potty training, which means we're going to get some extra babysitting support because Tara said she's not going to do a diaper. So we're going to get this child potty trained. Drop Baldwin off.
And be like, all right.
But yeah, Baldwin is my greatest joy.
Yeah.
And I just feel like right now is like a boom in language, and it's kind of like so funny to see the things that they say. And you also have to be careful what you say.
We gotta be real careful now.
Baldwin be repeating.
Oh my God.
So the other day, like Baldwin like snitched on Ariella. Like they were on like the FaceTime with the family.
Yeah.
This happened like last month, and then like I guess a family member had gotten hurt or something, and then Baldwin's like, "Yeah, Mama got hurt too," and Ariella's like, why are you sharing my business? Because like apparently like Ariella like stubbed her toe or something. Like I don't remember exactly that, but she got hurt too. And it's like Baldwin's now telling people our business, and like
I want the T-Baldwin.
You got the T. Baldwin's got the T.
Like,
Baldwin knows what's going on. So you want the truth?
Yes.
Yeah. So Baldwin's like my glimmer. Just makes me feel like happy and joyful. And like I used to be like excited when Baldwin was a baby about like all the cute little clothes and things that you buy, and then like there's like kind of like a lull in that because your kid like has everything.
Right.
But then now that they're a toddler and their language development, like I'm excited now about like new things I can get Baldwin to like help with the language development or just this new intellectual phase.
Yeah.
So I'm having like that like glimmer again.
Yeah.
The different stages.
Do they still make books on tapes?
There's like different technologies now.
Yeah.
Like they have this one cube where you can put something in and the story reads. Like Baldwin loves those kind of things.
I was like, that'd be cute.
Yeah, Tara's the best gift giver, by the way. Some of Baldwin's like favorite.
Only for the babies. I feel like for adults, I'm like struggling.
No, it's fine. If you give to the babies, it's like that's like giving to the adult.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, what's your glimmer?
I have two.
Oh, two glimmers.
So
lucky day.
Last week, some of the young people I work with were on a panel.
Yeah.
They were talking about, so they work with young people, work with like elementary and middle school and high school students. So they were talking about that work and what the industry needs to do, the sector needs to do to support them well.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, they were just amazing. I was like, these are my kids. I mean, they're 18 to 24, but still, they're my kids.
Yeah, I mean.
And it was just great. One of the young people brought her mom. So her mom had the phone up the whole time recording the whole thing. It was so amazing just to see that. And I think like it's just a reminder of like, if you actually want to know what's going on, talk to the people.
Yeah.
Because they were really saying some things that weren't just like, here's some like sector conversations, like let's talk about the sector. But they was being like, to actually do this work, you actually have to care about human beings. And like, this is how you do that. And so it was amazing. And it was strange because like it was like my old boss was there from years ago. So then like I got to be like, this is what I'm doing now, so it was great.
It's nice to catch up.
Yes. The second thing is that I went to go see, so something I've been doing for like since February. I mean, it just started, but I was like, this year just started. It feels like 20 years. I
know, it does.
I'm trying to see a live performance every like once a month at least.
Nice.
And so recently I saw Audra McDonald in Gypsy.
Oh my God.
And it was like a masterclass.
Wow.
When you hear somebody singing, you start shaking your head like,
oh, like you feel it in your bones.
I was just like, how
can you sing?
How can she do this? Because it wasn't just singing. It was the acting. It was the emotion. It was the articulation. And I've seen
like the body as an instrument.
And I've seen some amazing performances in my life. Like I know. But I was just
Theater
like
Betty.
Yes. I was like, but this is like next level. This was next level. So yeah, it was just amazing to see. She's like one of the folks who's like, it feels like a once in a lifetime kind of person to see. And in this role, it's a mostly Black cast. So yeah, it was an amazing show.
Oh my God, that sounds so wonderful. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome. You
I'm thinking about like, do I have any other glimmers? So I have one more glimmer. So last night we went to the materials for the arts here in Queens. So If you haven't heard about it, Materials for the Arts is an organization that receives donations of materials that are being discarded from all types of things, from like corporate buildings to movie sets, right? And then they repurpose those by giving them for free to arts and education spaces. So you could be an art teacher, a regular teacher, professor. You just make an account with Materials for the Arts. You go shopping at the time that you like sign up, and you can get whatever you want. I've seen people get literally cars and couches and furniture from there. Like anything you can imagine, they get donations. They send email blasts of what they're getting. And you might need that for your classroom, right? Or for a play or something. So they also have an artist residency program, and they have arts performances. So last night I got to go. Guadalupe Maravilla is one of my all-time favorite artists because he really focuses on healing and migration. Yeah, he like is a person who immigrated from El Salvador when he was a child, which there's a lot of unaccompanied children who migrate. And he is a person who developed cancer as a result of the trauma that he faced in his body, and he feels like he healed himself through sound because one of the treatments that you can receive in the hospital is sound therapy. And so he started making his own instruments and creating with these huge, beautiful art structures, and he does sound baths for folks. So usually his performances are kind of like just him doing, or not just, but him doing a sound bath for people. It's very healing. I've taken my mom who had cancer, and she's luckily fine, but this time he invited 4 other artists to come and to do kind of some type of like healing oriented performance in the space. And they could use only materials that they found at Materials for the Arts, because that's the point of the residency. And it was just nice to be in a healing space with artists and community members. And again, that's also like a form of organizing, is showing up and kind of affirming with each other. How do you want to be and show up for these moments? And also to support artists who kind of are like radical, and it shouldn't even be radical to be advocating for human rights. But that felt like particularly special. Yeah. So that felt like a kind of like a glimmer and a simmer.
It did feel like a glimmer and a simmer. Yeah. Yes.
Then we should probably wrap it up. Because we have to do our Kendrick walk. Don't think I forgot.
Oh my God.
Don't think I forgot.
We could do it when Bowen takes a nap.
Well, you know what, Tara? I feel like that's enough glimmer and simmering for the day.
It is.
I think we're going to leave the people off here.
We are.
And, you know, we're just going to keep coming back with more episodes. If you're rocking with us, if you think we're a vibe, if you like our style, or you just want to hear us banter, then keep coming back, because our goal is to post one every month. So we'll be back next month.
So please subscribe. Please leave some comments. Like if you have a question or a comment, we'll definitely see them. Share it with the folks you think will enjoy it as well. And follow us on Instagram at A Flow of Our Own.
A Flow of Our Own. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
I'm going to take my tea. A Flow of Our Own.